Welcome back to Eat and Leave Vlogs. For those that are new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It's still a baby, but it's growing. For those that don't know, I am pregnant and I am in my second trimester as of right now when I'm filming this. Keep in mind that all of my pregnancy videos are pre-recorded just for privacy reasons. I don't think it's anyone's business to know how far along I am, when my due date is, where I'm at on the map there. But currently when I'm filming this, I'm in my second trimester. And for those that have not been following my TikTok, I'm kind of embarrassed to promote it because there are some very embarrassing videos of me. I'm rolled out of bed crying, going through it. And I did that for the sheer purpose of why the fuck was no one else doing that when I was going through the thick of it. And so I decided to do that, to be a voice in this space that I feel like has just been so fake and just so one-sided, with this whole women being pregnant and daisies and rainbows and what a beautiful journey this is. And I'm so grateful and thankful and oh my God. And people don't talk about symptoms as graphically as maybe I do or would have liked somebody to. So here I am doing it because that's what I do best. I tell it like it is, even if it's maybe not the most comfortable or most politically correct. Just to let you guys know, not all my videos are gonna be me talking in front of the camera into a mic. We're gonna switch it up. I promise you guys, it's gonna be vlog style. So you're gonna see little bits and pieces of my life mashed together, and we're just gonna go through this chapter. I'm working on the nursery, which I feel like I'm behind, but I know a lot of people just barely touch it until third trimester. But I have been so ill for the entirety of my pregnancy so far that I am just very unproductive, and I need to get started on things now because I know that if the rest of my pregnancy looks anything like it has been so far, it's probably only going to get worse. So I've just been feeling a lot of pressure into doing that, but that's kind of content you guys will get sneak peeks into. Things we're buying, things we're doing in our space, which we did not plan on having a baby in, but we're going to make do for now. But today's video is going to be focused on first trimester. My pregnancy was not planned, and therefore everything was a surprise. I did not do my research before. I did not know much before. I only knew what a normal, regular woman would know, not seeking the information, just hearing through the grapevine, having people around her who have had kids, are in the process of having kids. And most women make it seem yeah, okay, you feel a little pukey and sick at the beginning, but then second trimester is a dream. Third trimester, you're huge and just want the baby out of you, and that's it, and everything else is fine. It's just totally normal. And you look at these women, even your mother who has had 2 kids, and you're wow. When you're pregnant, you start to be wow, I don't know how the fuck these women have done it. And so round of applause to every woman. Honestly, by default, we go through so fucking much. I've gained a lot of respect for mothers in particular and people who have gone through pregnancies, good and bad, because if it's not physically debilitating and uncomfortable for you, the mental, emotional shifts and the changes in general, hormone related and not, is tough. It's a change. It's constantly changing. You're literally evolving from the person you were before being pregnant to this person being pregnant. And then after having the baby, you're now another new person. So you're going through these 2 big changes, and nobody really tells you that you're kind of mourning the person you once were, knowing realistically you won't get her back fully. You can't be that person that you once were. And so I was not prepared for that. In a way, I'm happy because I feel like my body craved just a whole transformation, but I didn't think in this way, let me tell you. So I'm trusting the process, of course, and trying to be as positive as possible. And even though this video might not sound positive, I can assure you I'm very thankful and grateful for being healthy and for being able to do this and have been given the opportunity and the blessing of getting pregnant. Because if I don't sound appreciative, I just want you to know that I really, really am. So for the first week or 2 of me finding out that I was pregnant, I felt completely normal besides pre-period symptoms. So slightly crampy, kind of weak, little headache here and there, classic period symptoms that I get every single month. I think I was 6 days late. I originally thought 8 days, but I looked at a video I made at the time I found out, and I was okay, I'm saying 6 days. So I guess it was 6 days. I was just feeling crampy, and that's why I didn't think anything of it. I didn't expect that I was going to be pregnant, and I just had those typical symptoms. And then all of a sudden I took a pregnancy test because I was okay, let's rule this out. And I was so confident that I was going to come back negative. I took one and I was
What?
It was positive real fucking quick. Like I barely took it out of my pee stream, okay? And bam, 2 lines. And usually that takes a hot minute. And did it again and again. And basically we were positive as fuck. The few weeks in terms of how I felt, besides emotionally being and mentally being like, what the actual fuck is going on? And how am I going to do this? And am I ready for this? And what the hell? And who do I tell? What should I tell? Do I want to keep this baby? Like there was a lot of that emotional, mental stress that my physical body, I didn't feel any type of way. Is there really something in there? Like, don't feel it. Like obviously, and it's way too early to feel it. And you'll be surprised with just how long you go not really feeling anything in your stomach like you would expect, or like this, I thought I was gonna have this intuitive feeling of knowing I'm gonna have a baby, or like feeling like I feel the baby energetically. Like had none of that, absolutely none of that. And I feel like I'm a very intuitive person usually, so I was like, this is weird, this is just not me. It took me for a loop. It's a lot more anticlimactic than you would think. A week or 2 later, was kind of making this joke like, wow, all these girls talk about like morning sickness, and like I'm reading on all these like apps and things that I downloaded. Oh, like wait, you're gonna start to feel a little sick or nauseous. I was like, what are they talking about? I feel absolutely fine. Like these girls are so dramatic. My mom never had morning sickness with both her pregnancies, so I just got great genes. Like, let's go. I'm so excited to just ride along this pregnancy journey at ease. And let me tell you how I was humbled so fucking hard, and how I realized how horrible and vulgar, that's the word I've been saying to describe morning sickness, really is for any woman that has experienced morning sickness. And if you know anybody that has said they experienced morning sickness, I want you to look at them like they're a goddamn fucking hero with a cape, because it has destroyed me. And just talking about it makes me gag and makes me want to cry because of how horrendous this type of nausea is. It does not come from the stomach. It's not a stomach ache that a little bit of a puke session will give you relief. It is a throat and head nausea, which is how I've described it to everybody. And it has not gone away. I'm in my 2nd trimester, in the thick of my 2nd trimester, and it is still here. I had to call my doctor because of how violent my like throwing up sessions were. And she put me on these pills that were supposed to help with the nausea and the throw up. And sure enough, they did, but I had to go straight to the maximum dosage for it to be effective. And I have been taking those pills till this day. I've weaned off of them a few times. I've skipped a day or 2, and then I suffer. And I told myself, you know what? I wanted to do no pills, but I cannot continue suffering. And I'm at a point right now where I take the goddamn pills, and that's just it. That has been the worst symptom of my 1st trimester, and what has really made pregnancy hard for me is the nausea. The aches and the pains and all these other things are uncomfortable, but they are nowhere near as horrible as the nausea. I would trade in the nausea for a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that, because I never want to experience that nausea ever again in my life. It is horrible, horrible, horrible. I have done blood tests. Blood tests seem to be fine. I'm on prenatals. I take my prenatals. I'm taking them now at nighttime because I thought maybe the prenatals are making me unwell. I really don't think it's that. Speaking of which, after this video, I'm going to go take a pill and then I'm going to try a nap. I'm starting to not feel well. So mornings are usually good for me because, and like they have usually been decent throughout my entire 1st trimester, except when I had hunger pains. Hunger pains was one of the very first symptoms I experienced that was extremely difficult for me to understand. I would wake up in the morning barely with my eyes open, out of pain from the hunger that I felt. I was so hungry all the time, guys. This hunger was like I didn't eat for a decade. It felt horrible. It felt like there was a hole being created in my stomach, like my stomach was eating itself. You guys know that feeling when you go like a little too long without putting something in your mouth and eating. Like that just was me every single day. And then I would have a big breakfast and I'd be so grossed out with how much I ate that it would make me nauseous, but then I'd feel hungry again. So hunger and nausea together was and is the most difficult and complex combination of symptoms, because you can't stomach the thought of food, but you are dying to eat. And then when you're asked, what do you want to eat? You don't know what the fuck you want to eat because everything sounds horrible. It is extremely, extremely difficult. It is like physically your body is telling you that you need to eat, but also you can't eat. So it's like, what the fuck do you do? At that point, I just got creative and I forced myself, and I didn't give much thought into what I ate. I just ate whatever I could. Keep in mind though, guys, I am vegetarian, actually for the most part plant-based. I've been that way for like 12, 13 years. I recently became gluten-free because of an allergy. So I'm like pretty restricted, but the things that I do eat are like really great food. We get a lot of our vegetables from the local farm, and I have plenty of options to eat at home, but it's like constantly eating and constantly prepping. And because I'm eating like really healthy meals, everything has to be prepped essentially. So it just became exhausting. All my days really were just like thinking about what to eat, then eating. But yeah, nausea and hunger pains, I can't even explain to you how gruesome that combination is. And that was one of the first 2 symptoms that I've experienced. I also had breakouts. My skin was just not the same. Not like tons of acne or like pimples everywhere. I did have a recent breakout that was like my whole forehead was like tiny bumps, which I haven't experienced for years. And so that was like really weird navigating. And like, you know, because I'm pregnant, I'm being extra careful with the products I put on my body and my skin, because your skin is the largest organ and it all goes right into your bloodstream, everything you put on your skin. So I'm just like very mindful of those things in general, whether I'm pregnant or not. And so even with like, and the pregnancy obviously ramps it up a bit. So I'm like, fuck, I don't even know how to treat this. But I had like weird breakouts that like heal themselves though. It's just like a hormonal thing. It's almost like you're going through your period cycle, you know, when your skin's acting up at certain moments, like that's what it was feeling like. I had a lot of bloat. My bump, I felt like looked bigger at certain weeks in my first trimester than it does now because of the amount of bloat. So you're going to wake up with a stomach that looks tiny, and then you're going to go to bed with a stomach that looks massive. And you're going to think like, oh my God, my bump is getting so big. In a weird way, you kind of feel relieved that your bump is like getting big quick, so that you feel like this is real. And you feel like, okay, now I can dress like I'm pregnant, you know, and like hug the bump and show it off, rather than like being that awkward stage where you're like, I'm kind of showing, I'm kind of not. I don't know if this looks like a beer belly or like I ate a lot today, you know what I mean? Or I'm like gaining a few pounds. Like it's a very weird situation, especially if you've had a body shape that's been pretty consistent your whole life, which was me. I never had like many curves, nothing, like pretty just like slim and, you know, straight, like pretty much my whole life. And it's kind of hard to style a body that you're so used to only styling one way, and like navigating this at this age. And I'm just like, fuck, man, like I had my style, like I had my who I was in clothes, and now it's like completely changed. That gives me a major identity crisis. So anyway, side note about the bloat / bump, you're going to be bloating for a hot minute. You're going to be gassy. Okay. You're going to be gassy, and your bodily functions are going to change. You're going to urinate more, but like towards the end of first trimester into the second is what I experienced. Like I wake up every night routine to pee, like every night, same time. It's like, I got to wake up. I have to pee right before I go to bed. And then like I wake up really early to pee, and then I go back into bed to like fall asleep or just schmooze. And then I get up and then pee again. And it's going to increase only as time goes on. Bowel movements. Most women say that they experience constipation. Girl, I'm very regular, if not like super regular. Like but that's because of my diet. I feel like high fiber, like good, clean diet. So I feel like that's what also helps things move. And it really hasn't affected my bowel movements, except the bloating and like a little bit more gassy. Like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I want to be a lady and stuff, but also what do you want? Like this is just the truth. Smells. Okay. Things smell different to you. My house had this odor that I could not stand. And so I went on a rampage and bought like little things to put in my outlets that like make the house smell whatever scent I want. So like I just bought a bunch, put them all over the house. I've just been very hyper aware of scents. I thought I was going to be able to like smell things from like a mile away, like next level dog nose shit. Like, no, I don't feel like certain smells are super triggering to me, but they're definitely louder. Maybe the things I didn't I used to not notice as much. I notice now. This girl was wearing perfume at a restaurant, and I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, this girl is so disrespectful. And we were sitting outside. So like, she was behind us, but it was like a gust, like as the wind blew, like gust and gust of perfume. I was like, girl, ew. It's just too much. So like little things like that I noticed were irritating me and bothering me. I realized that the symptoms were not linear. This is a really important point and like a common theme in pregnancy so far that I've experienced. Nothing is linear, okay? Just because you're super nauseous today doesn't mean tomorrow's gonna be less and less and less and less and less. That's what you're fed. That's the bullshit we're told, is like, oh yeah, symptoms start to decrease. By the time you get to second trimester, you feel a little bit better. Not for me, girl. Okay. Some days are worse than others. Some days are better than others. And it's kind of like this. It's like an up and down roller coaster for the vast majority of pregnancy so far from what I've experienced. So nothing is linear. Keep that in mind. Your symptoms are not going to be linear either. Just because they're worse today doesn't mean that they're going to be even worse tomorrow or they're going to be better tomorrow. It really is so unpredictable. And there's literally, my symptoms have not been stable or reliable at all. Some days they're worse. Some days they're not. Period. Exhaustion and insomnia. The weirdest combination again. It's like the hunger and the nausea. So the first few weeks, I could not sleep at night very well. I think it was a lot of like mental nerves and excitement and like, I can't believe this, and like going to bed with that like energy, like buzzing a little bit, like, oh my God, is this really happening? Like, holy shit, you know, that keeps you up at night. But there is a little bit of that insomnia where like you're so tired, but you can't sleep, that I've experienced at the beginning of first trimester. Not so much at the end of first trimester. And it really faded for me pretty quick in terms of insomnia. But what I did experience horribly until this day sometimes have, but I feel like it's been a lot better from what I once was, is exhaustion. When I tell you guys, it's not like, oh, I'm tired, I need a nap, and then I'll feel better. It's no matter how much you nap, no matter how much you sleep, no matter what you do, you are going to feel like your body is made out of cement. Somebody described it like that, and I will always use that as the analogy, because your body feels like it is being pulled down, like it is so heavy, like everything that you do takes so much energy out of you. It is a next level exhaustion, so much so that I've actually looked into this. Most women say that this exhaustion is worse than when you have a newborn, okay? When you literally can't sleep because of your newborn. This is worse. So first trimester exhaustion is extremely difficult. I don't know how women go to work and deal with it and sit for 8 hours in front of their computer and have to be focused and on. It is so fucking difficult. When I was working at that time, I would like pass out almost standing up. Like it was so bad. So first trimester, use all your sick days. I don't know what you need to do. I don't know why the government or the world doesn't offer us like mandatory, like first trimester, you need to take off to like take care of yourself and to really rest and to, you know, just deal with all these symptoms. And then second trimester should be optional to go back to work. Like it is so difficult. And my pregnancy, maybe it is one of the rare ones, or maybe it's one of the normal ones that no one fucking talks about. Who knows? I mean, I'm just starting to feel like I'm the only one that feels this way, because I really haven't heard many women talk about it like this. But I couldn't function, guys. And I am so productive, and I'm the type of person that like is a workaholic. I get up, I like to get shit done. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything but sleep. I would do one task and I would need to sleep. Everything was exhausting. Okay. I couldn't stay awake for any show, for any movie. Ask my fiance. Every fucking show or movie we watched, 10 minutes in, I was out cold. I couldn't stay awake for anything. So I was just like going to bed, sleeping in, napping once, twice a day at least. Okay. And I still couldn't stay awake till a decent time. The exhaustion was really fucking real. I do feel a little bit better now from the exhaustion, like I said, but I do need a nap. I've become a napper. It's just become part of my routine. It has helped me with my symptoms, with nausea. Napping and resting, your body needs it. Let's talk about boobs. Okay. So many women say that's like their first symptom. Like my breasts were so tender. I don't know if it's because I'm part of the itty bitty titty committee or something, but I like my boobs were like sore and tender at the beginning, but they weren't super painful. There were points in the first trimester where my boobs ached, but it was more so my nipples. And this is like still into the second trimester. My nipples will sometimes get hard either because I'm cold or I don't know. There's just like something going on with my body, and they feel like they're on fire. That's how much pain my nipples are in. And your nipples turn different colors. They do. They're like fucking techno lights sometimes. Like I look down and I'm like, whoa, what color are we today? They've turned like purpley black. And I heard that was normal. So I know that might scare a few of you guys, but like they go back to their normal color, but everything grows. Okay. Your nipple will grow. Your boob will grow a little bit, if not a lot. Some women have, massive titties when they're pregnant. Mine just got a little bit more swollen, definitely bigger, but not big. Okay. Like there's still like my boobs. So maybe I'm again unlucky. I don't know. We love them as they are. Yeah. But the nipples will fuck around with you later in the first trimester, going into the second trimester. This was in my second trimester, I believe, or maybe the end of my first. There was like some white, slightly dried something on my nipple here and there, like not every day, but some days. And I looked into that, and it's colostrum. So it's not your milk. You're not a cow just yet. It's colostrum, and it's extremely healthy for the baby. You can't collect any of it. Like it's not ready to like be milked, okay, or pumped. Your body's getting ready for the baby. So things change. I smell different to myself, which is like another weird thing. I'm always like super hyperfixated on, I'm like, do I smell? Do I smell? Do I smell? I don't, but I just feel like I smell. My pee smells different. Like things smell a little different. Practice good hygiene and you should have no problem, but things do smell different to you. And I don't know if it's the hormones that like make your nose all whack, or if you actually are just, your scent is just switching, So certain perfumes I don't wear anymore, or just don't fit my body chemistry anymore. I find varicose veins, guys. This was like one of the early symptoms too, because your blood volume increases so much so quickly. You'll have like your veins kind of pop out. My varicose veins are actually not, well, they were crazier I feel like earlier, but I've been taking care of my skin. I don't know if that helps. And like dry brushing, so that's helped with circulation. But I'm just like checking out my legs right now. I had like a line of varicose veins, like literally lining around my thigh, and they're hereditary. Like my mom, my grandmother, their legs are pretty veiny, so it is what it is. Like that's to be expected for me. And I'm like a pale girl, usually, but I've been trying to like self tan, which kind of helps conceal some of those veins, and like it just makes me feel like I've been a part of summer, even though I've been hibernating at home, which also sucks, by the way. Like totally different topic, but just because I've been so ill, I haven't been able to enjoy my summer, and like that's all that I look forward to all year. And so kind of a buzzkill for me, but it is what it is. Some are said to go away after pregnancy. I've noticed some go away already. Not sure if it's in my head or because I've been dry brushing. Not sure if that has anything to do with it, but yeah, I've noticed like that was like really noticeable to me at the beginning. I have aversions to people, places, and things. The reason why I didn't bring any cravings up is because I haven't had any crazy cravings. I haven't like been wanting anything like substantially more that's been like such a crazy craving. I've just been eating what I normally like to eat. I'm usually a salty, savory girl, and I still want that. I did not switch over to sweet. There was like one or two times like in the evening if we're watching a movie that I'm like craving a little bit of chocolate, which not like me, but also not like a crazy craving. If I didn't get it, I wasn't dying to get it, I've just been eating more and just being a little bit like more easy on myself with what I eat too. No weird aversions to food and no cravings. The only thing I had aversions to, actually one food thing, was nachos. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to smell them. I don't want to see them. I don't know why. Blech. Even though I love nachos, I'm such a nachos girl, and I really hope that this doesn't stick with me when I'm not pregnant. Like I really hope I can go back and enjoy my nachos. But the places I haven't felt well in, so like my workplace at the time, maybe like different restaurants or like different places I've been to when I was like at the peak of my nausea, I literally gag just thinking about them, and I cannot go there. I can't be there. I can't ever show up there. Yeah, just like places, things, like recording on my phone, I sometimes get like because like I've forced myself to record when I wasn't feeling well at certain times, like little weird things, like me driving in the car before I get into the car. When I get into the car, I'm like, ugh, humidity in the summer right now, like is kind of crazy. And so the humidity makes me feel nauseous because like at the peak of my nausea and like when I was experiencing like the worst days of my nausea before I understood the medication and how it works and like when to medicate myself, I was like struggling, you know what I mean, in the hot, humid weather driving to work, like with a puke bag in my lap. Okay. It was one of those. Those were pretty much all of my first trimester symptoms. My mental health was okay. Again, it was just like a lot of shocking moments, unexpected moments. And I felt lonely for a lot of the first trimester because we didn't tell many people, except like really immediate family. And we kept it a secret until like into my second trimester. So I felt like really lonely going through this, right? Because I feel like I couldn't talk to anybody. I was hiding from everybody because I wasn't feeling well. And on top of that, when I did see a few of my friends, like I felt like I couldn't tell them, not because I didn't trust them, but because I was still processing a lot of things. And so you want to keep that to yourself until you're ready to talk about it. And I also like don't owe anyone anything, and I don't think anyone who is pregnant does. You tell people when you want, if you ever want to, or if you just want to surprise and come out with a fucking kid, then you do you, boo. Like whatever gives you peace and whatever helps you the most during your pregnancy journey, because it is a very difficult one. I don't know how, if anyone has had a pregnancy similar to mine, how you've pulled through and chosen to have like several more babies. I don't know. Going into my second trimester, the only other symptom I've noticed I'm going to throw in here is a weird taste in my mouth. And that's when I know that the nausea is like going to come in soon. It's like my body telling me, okay, prepare, because the nausea is coming to hit you. So it's like a weird taste in my mouth that I can't get rid of with eating food. Like I need to suck on something, or like really, really, really minty gum, like helps distract my taste buds in the moment. But it's like a really gross taste in your mouth that you can't get rid of. Like I brush my teeth, obviously, and like I brush my teeth several times a day now because of it. And it's like doesn't go away. It's like this, it's like coming out of your tongue's pores. I can't explain it. And it's only obviously you that like notices it, but I think it's just the hormones. Okay. And like, then I'm like, oh, I'm about to get nauseous. And so that's kind of like now my new indicator with this weird taste in my mouth. It's not like super metallic-y like a lot of women explain. It's just like a really, I don't even know. Like I don't even want to think of the words to describe it because I don't want to yak on camera. And I know I seem like pretty like mellow and like my eyes are like half shut. It's because I'm super tired and it's what, like 2 p.m. right now. Like this is when I crash, and I usually like in bed right now. So that's why I'm like kind of tired. But I told myself I need to film. I want to film, and I'm trying to get this done for you guys. So that's why I'm like maybe low energy right now. I feel like I'm talking very monotone, and I'm just not animated like I usually am, and I'm not screaming at you guys like I usually am. So, okay. And last but not least, I'm going to tell you guys a story about what happened to me in the first trimester that I have kept a secret from a lot of people, even family. Okay. The reason why me and Max kept it a secret was because it was a scare we went through together. We overcame it, and we're just like looking forward. We don't really want to talk too much about it because it came and went. But I do think it's important to discuss this because, again, there's not enough information out there online. And there's like when I was searching for other women that are experiencing this, like it was just panic mode. The pregnant women online are like really great and supportive, but also kind of crazy and just like too much. So it's like you can't really find a reliable voice and source on there, and it's just every woman's journey is so different that it's just confusing as hell. So while I didn't really want to talk about it, I do feel like it's important that I do, because that was the whole mission of like this channel and me talking about this journey and talking about pregnancy. So it was already a few weeks when I knew, and I started to spotting. So like little bit of bleeding, like when you wipe, and like it's a like light pink, like red, slightly, nothing like in the toilet, nothing like chunks, like is normal apparently, right? Like your uterus is stretching, like things are happening, implantation bleeding, like all kinds of reasons why you could bleed are there. And again, lack of research in women's health, like it's so ambiguous. Like it could be that, but we're not sure. Sometimes it's normal. We don't know why it happens. Like that's literally what a doctor told me. I was like, okay, like this is fucked up. It's goddamn blood. You know what I mean? Like when you see blood in your urine, you're supposed to freak out. It's not a healthy, good sign unless you're on your period, right? I'm wiping. I see a little bit of blood in the toilet paper. I'm like, fuck. So, I start to panic, call the doctor. It's normal, spotting, whatever. If it becomes like normal bleeding like on your period or something like that, then go straight to the emergency, which also scares you right the fuck out. Like you're like, oh my God. And let them know that you're pregnant and have them check you and the baby to make sure that you're okay. At this point, I didn't have an ultrasound done, right? Like if you're low risk, if it's your first pregnancy, they don't really care to see you until later on. And so you don't know if the baby is growing in your uterus where it should, or if it's growing outside of your uterus, it's very dangerous for you. Okay. Not just the baby, but for you. Like you need to immediately get into surgery, like make sure that you're okay. Because the baby growing anywhere outside of the uterus, it can be dangerous and pose like life-threatening risks to the person carrying the baby. So these things were thrown into the phone call, and I was like, fuck me, like holy shit. So we didn't have the ultrasound to confirm that the baby was growing where it needed to grow in the uterus. So this bleeding makes you think a million miles an hour. You're not thinking straight. You're thinking the worst, and like stress and things like that obviously doesn't help the body. So I was like spotting on and off. It went away. Then I was spotting again. I was like, I'm not going to freak out, whatever. If I feel like any type of way, if I feel unwell and if there's a lot more blood, then okay, we're going straight to the hospital. One day before work, I wasn't spotting at that point, and it wasn't like from sexual activity. Sometimes when you have sex, sometimes it can cause some bleeding, but I never experienced that. Okay. And I've been sexually active the whole time in my pregnancy. Like, I don't want to fear that. I want to live my life and like not tell my body that I should be scared of something that me and my partner do and want to continue doing, and it's good for our relationship and for our health. So like, yeah, we're going to continue to fuck. Sorry, mom. Like it wasn't post that or anything like that. It was just, again, a question mark. And right before work, I go to the washroom and I am peeing, and there's a chunk of blood that comes out. It's in the toilet. And I'm like freaking out. I called Max. I was like, he was just about finishing work. And I was like, you need to come take me to the hospital right now. I'm bleeding. And it's like not like spotting, it's like bleeding. So I put a pad in, I wore a pad to the hospital, and welcome to fucking Canada. You're bleeding in your first pregnancy ever, first trimester. Again, still haven't had an ultrasound. I'm thinking the worst. At that point, my symptoms started to come on a little bit, so I wasn't feeling the greatest. I didn't know how I should feel during pregnancy, how I would feel. Like it was still so fresh and new with little to no information. And I was at the hospital with Max for 5 hours before we got it checked. Okay. Not in the waiting room. They took you in quickly. They did a blood test to make sure everything, like the HCG levels were there. So maybe the blood test created some sort of comfort to the nurses and doctors there, but we were sitting in a fucking room for 5 hours. I was starving. Now, when you're pregnant and you're hungry, especially with the hunger that I was experiencing, if I don't eat, I start to shake and my blood sugar drops and I feel very unwell. Nothing in the hospital was gluten-free, so I was starving. I sent Max home while I was sitting in the hospital, hoping and praying I don't pass out. I mean, but if I did, like, great place to do that, right? To go home and get me food, and then to come back, to walk our dog and come back and whatever. By the time he did all that, I was still not looked at. Eventually, the doctor waddles in with an ultrasound machine. Thank God, because if she just came in to have a chat, I would have lost my fucking mind. Explained that HCG levels looked really good, that it looked like I was like pregnant. It was like at a high level, good level. And she brought the ultrasound machine to come and see, make sure the baby is growing where it needs to grow, and eliminate that stressor, and then just go from there, and we can talk about how to deal with it going forward if I do continue to bleed. At that point, my pad was not being filled with blood, so I wasn't bleeding a lot or anything super alarming in their terms, in their stance. Again, I'm very skeptical about doctors, so I'm always like, I don't really trust your word. I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt, which unfortunately is what you have to do in this day and age. So that was the first time we actually got to see our baby. And I cried when I saw this little, you can't even see anything. It's like a bean. It looks like a little jelly bean chilling. Okay. It's so small. And I'm like crying, and Max is like, fuck you. Max is like, I can't see anything. I don't really know what's going on. And he even said, just seeing your reaction to the baby and like seeing the relief and the tears of joy, like made everything feel just, okay, we're going to be okay, you know? And seeing the baby for the first time, I was like in shock. I was looking at my stomach being like, this is so strange. Like, is there really anything there? I can't believe it. And that kind of was like, there's a baby. And I took a picture with my phone. She didn't really want me to, but whatever, I did. And that kind of gave me hope to pull through for the next little while of me being stressed about anything. So she said, the baby's fine. Everything looks good. And if it happens again, come back in and we'll reevaluate, because again, first trimester, anything can happen and it's pretty stressful for a lot of women. So just to be mindful of anything like that and what to look out for. So that was kind of a scary moment in our first trimester. You know, like a little bit of bleeding is considered normal. A lot of women experience it. If it's anything more than just a little bit of spotting, then you definitely do need to go to the hospital. The doctor made it very clear to me that if it's spotting or bleeding with any type of pain, if you feel cramping, like really bad pain, you need to go to the hospital, because pain is not normal. Like severe pain, like screaming, crying, aching pain is not normal. So didn't experience that, thank God. But that was a bit of a scare in the first trimester, and why we kept it a secret for longer. That was a pretty in-depth chat about all my symptoms first trimester, how it's been. So happy now that I am more familiar with my symptoms. I'm more comfortable with my body, that I have a bump that I get to see. I get to feel the baby right now. Baby is moving. She loves to party when I'm trying to go to sleep. That's just always the case. We know it's a girl. Like, we are planning on getting things organized in the house. Like, these things are reassuring parts of pregnancy, but I still physically don't feel phenomenal, and it's still very hard for me to do much. So that's been a mental stressor of mine, because I guess only now realized how much I've put my entire personality and like who I am and my confidence and my self-worth on what I can accomplish, and not being able to accomplish as much as I want to each day makes me feel less than, which is not okay. But again, pregnancy is said to be a very like transformative experience in more ways than one. And I think that this is part of me that needs to be looked at and taken care of. And I have to be more gracious with myself, but that doesn't mean that I can't be honest about my symptoms and my experiences. And I can cuss it out, and I can say that, you know what, guys, so far, I don't like being pregnant, and I don't find it wow, beautiful and magical. I'm so thankful I get to have a baby, and I feel a baby, and she's gonna be my best friend. And that's the magical part, that I'm growing a baby, but that's about it. Everything else is not magical. Everything else feels like absolute shit. A lot of times the life is like being sucked out of me, and I know it's going to another life, which I'm so happy about, but it's hard. It's hard to enjoy these few months, you know, in my head of, I want to enjoy pregnancy because do I want to have another kid? I don't know. Like, if it's anything like this pregnancy, shit, I don't think I want to experience that again. So like in my head, I wanted to enjoy pregnancy, and like, if this is my first and last, I want to enjoy it, but I can't because I physically don't feel well. I also want to enjoy the last few months of me and Max being just me and Max and Ruby, of course, and me enjoying the summer, you know, but it's okay. Everything happens for a reason, and that's just what I'm going with. And I truly do believe it. It's just maybe not the most enjoyable ride, and maybe it's not supposed to be all the time. So that's where I'm at, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me talk about all of this and going into detail. If you've experienced anything similar or have any wild symptoms or stories you want to share, leave them in the comments so that other people who are coming across this video for whatever reason might get something else out of it from other people, reassurance perhaps. Here's my thing, guys. As much as it's been difficult, I am so excited to be a mother, and every day I get more and more comfortable with the idea, even though it's not something that I necessarily planned at this point in my life. It was something I wanted with my partner, and it came at a time where maybe me and Max both needed it more than we thought we did. Now, as things are settling, we're starting to realize how great the timing really was. So with everything, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of love. I've had my breakdowns, I've had my moments where I cry and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. It's so not fair. But I get to hold my baby hopefully soon. And that I don't even know, like I can't imagine how that's going to feel, right? Like, you know, ask any mother what it was like to hold their baby for the first time, you know, their first baby. Like, it's probably a feeling that you can only unlock once you get there. And that's sort of what I'm looking forward to the most. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my new YouTube channel. Lots more to come, and I will see you guys here very soon. Bye.